Hello and welcome to the Once and Future Pediatricians. I mean the Once and Future Parents. It's an inside joke if you're watching the video, but the point is, I'm Matthew. I'm here with Pete and Mandy. We are talking about parenting. We're talking about kids, and especially, folks, have you ever known the sweet, beautiful vindication of holding your peacefully sleeping baby on a plane while two other babies cry?
Game, set, match, Matthew.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just win in that situation. So that was Mandy Kaplan and Pete Wright, my two guests, my co-hosts on this wonderful experience. How you folks doing today?
Well, I was great until we were demoted.
Yeah. Are you going to call Penn your part-time child?
No.
No, Ben's already a future co-host.
It could happen.
We have I think a few squeaks of his have made it onto the air at
For
times,
sure.
depending on how my editing is done, as I have recorded a couple times with him in my arms or him nearby.
He's shooting for equity. Is there podcast equity? I don't know yet.
Probably. So
we're
today
talking about vacationing today, and I'm so curious how your big trip went. It sounds like it was off with a bang.
So everyone who told me that traveling with a 4-month-old, a 3-month-old is actually kind of the perfect time was exactly right. Because, and just to bring people up to speed, so this wasn't like we decided, hey, let's go on a trip 3 months after giving birth. My parents' wedding anniversary and my stepmother's birthday, this was like a really big deal for them. They've been planning this for literally years. And then, of course, it turned out that when we got pregnant, it lined up like this, and they weren't going to unravel plans that had been years in the making. And so we decided, let's go for it. And I think Mary and I were both kind of terrified of just what the travel was going to be like. And there were definitely some hiccups. We ran out of hands pretty quickly when we realized we had to be balancing between the stroller, my wheelchair, our various bags, making sure that the diapers and baby formula and all that stuff was being taken care of. But it turns out that Italians love babies just as much as Americans do, as do the Dutch at the Amsterdam airport. And as I said, the experience of being on an airplane with my baby sleeping in my arms completely peacefully, causing no problems on either one of the flights, while others were crying all around us, is one of the greatest sources of vindication and affirmation that I've ever had in my life. And I'm sure it's simply because we were great parents and not because our baby was 3 months old and therefore sleeps all the time, whereas those were like 18-month-old babies that cry all the time.
When I feel like it's a real litmus test. Your baby cries and you look around the airport because you're self-conscious, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my baby's screaming or the toddler's whining. And you get half the people who look at you like, shut that damn baby up. And you get the other half who look at you like, oh,
I'm so sorry.
are you okay?
Yeah.
I know I've been there. And then you know who the parents are. And we're all a community. I've volunteered to help people with while you take your little one into the bathroom, I can watch the baby in the stroller, sleep it, whatever. Like we're all, that's how I get free babies, by the way. Hit me up on the black market. No, but I think we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm in that place where I was just on planes, and there's a sort of delight that comes with also having been there and knowing, it's going to be okay. To the new moms and dads and parents of all sorts. It's just, I know your baby's crying, and now I don't have to personally deal with it, but if I can make some funny faces and from, the aisle behind, or the seat behind you as your kid is thrashing about in the aisle, it maybe settles them down and makes them laugh. I can play that role on a plane. And I think for me, that mindset helps me keep my cool on the plane. So, yeah.
No, I think it's definitely true. And I will say, on the longer flights, the cross-Atlantic flights, the one there at least, Delta offered basically what they call a sky bassinet, which is like a little bassinet thing that bolts to the bulkhead, and they put you in that seat. And then there's a little place for the baby to sleep, which was fantastic.
Wow.
Wow.
You can't actually put the baby in it until they have turned off the seatbelts sign.
Uh-huh.
And so it's always to me been a little like, I have to go to the bathroom as the plane is taking off. I have to wait for that sign, or I have to wait for, when can I pull out my phone, back in the days when that was a thing. So I always used to get antsy about that. You've never gone antsy about that as much as when you're waiting to actually put your baby down.
Yeah.
And I will say that the holding the baby in your arms for 7 hours straight, while
Heaven
a
on
wonderful, loving heaven experience, also my arm has never gone quite so dead as it did. And the passing, me and Mary passing him back and forth became necessary. But, all told, the flying with a baby was nowhere near as bad as I was worried it would be.
There's an age to come where it
Yeah.
will be exactly as bad as you're told that it is going to be. It's coming, but that is not now.
And
Yeah.
I remember my first solo trip with Casey.
Mm-hmm.
He was maybe 2.5, and I had to take him cross country, and he was a very good, mellow child, and it was great. And the airline attendant said, "What would you like to drink?" And he asked for juice, and then he promptly spilled the whole cup all over me, head to
Oh.
toe.
Of course.
I can't even remember how it happened, but to have to check my rage, and I can't say, "Hey, you watch him while I go try to clean up." And I think the flight attendant said, "I'll hang with him for a minute. Here's some wet wipes or something." I mean, I had no way. I didn't have a change of clothes, so I just stank like juice the whole flight, and it was sticky and gross. But
I can't. I mean, are you ready for a hold my beer moment?
Please,
Great.
please.
Kira and I were traveling.
I would generally say don't have your 3-year-old hold your beer, but
Kira and I were
they'll
traveling.
spill it. Just 'cause they'll
they
spill
will. They will. We were traveling across country to New York, and as we're about to get on our red eye flight, we're standing literally in line, and our dear sweet, I don't know, 3 or 4 month old, decided that it was time to just have a complete disastrous blowout, and just oozed diarrhea all over Kira for the duration of the flight. Like
Oh
we
my
were
God.
spritzing her with fragrance, because there again, no change of clothes.
Right.
And it was all because of that damned Baby Bjorn. It hid the nastiness. And so she couldn't see it. She couldn't look down until the smell arrived, and we removed the Baby Bjorn, and it was down her shirt and pants. Yeah.
Pop quiz time. Matthew, what have you learned from these stories?
Well, I learned this. Your stories are confirming something that my sister bringing her 2-year-old on this same trip had further taught me, which is that this was a wonderful trip, and we will take Penn on another trip again when he's maybe 14.
Yeah. That's not the answer I was looking for.
Okay, what was the answer you were looking for?
Change of clothes.
Change of clothes.
So I did not want to be smug, but Mary and I each packed 3 changes of clothes for our 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because we are used to...
Spit up
I go
and-
through probably 2 to 3 T-shirts a day these days,
Yeah.
because just
Yeah.
the amount of spit up, the amount of things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
I
gotta be
will
right.
say just how much of a hero Mary was on this trip, because,
She's not listening. You don't
She's
have
a hero
to.
all the time.
well, I know, but due to the combination of my being disabled, my prosthetic leg, but also my being a rather large individual, larger than most airplanes are built for these days, there was a lot of things like just being able to change diapers that I was just not going to be able to do in the way that she could. So, plus just her being more able-bodied and so just that, I don't think I could have possibly done this without her. I think she could have done it without me. But although there were a couple of times where the airline was like, "Oh, well, we'll get you a stroller. Don't worry about it eventually." And Mary did the Minnesota thing of, "Oh, I guess that's okay." And I did the New York thing of, "No, that's not okay. Let's renegotiate right now, please." But yes, just the all beauty to that. But yeah, we have definitely learned that lesson of bring extra clothes for him. and we went through numerous outfit changes, and we made it.
How do you? So, a question about the prosthetic versus dual wielding the prosthetic in the wheelchair. How do you handle airports vis-a-vis baby? Like, do you wheelchair in the airport, or do you prosthetic
Generally,
it
a
up and
wheelchair
walk?
in the airport. I have a motor that can attach to my wheelchair, so I can actually just control it with one hand.
Okay.
So actually, what we ended up doing was I would push the stroller with one hand while controlling the wheelchair with the other,
Okay.
and while Mary
Wow.
was moving the bags, which
That is
for the
like
most part,
extraordinary feats of
Yeah.
like machinery to move your family from place to place, especially an international flight.
it worked great, except for the time when the airline coming from Italy back to the States made the mistake of packing the stroller and moving it directly from one plane to the other instead of giving it to us.
Oh,
So we had to go all the way across the Amsterdam airport without the stroller.
yeah.
And now
that's bad
hands
news.
became a much more important
Yeah.
commodity.
Right.
We also learned that I think of Europe as much more woke in so many ways, and in many ways it is. But the Americans with the Disability Act, as the word Americans might clue you in,
Yeah.
there is no Europeans with Disability Act. And I understand. I mean, in many ways, it's as accessible as it can be, and it's great. There's a lot of, I don't expect a 14th century castle to be wheelchair accessible,
Yeah.
but I would like it if the Amsterdam airport was, and it really wasn't. So that was definitely a bit more of a challenge in a lot of ways. But again, like you said, people are just so friendly. They see a
Yeah.
baby, they want to help.
Yeah.
And that is just such a universal language
For sure.
in a way
Yeah.
that's really great.
I don't. Our travel, I think the phases for our travel, we did very young baby, and they were awesome. We even did through the twos, and the twos were also weirdly awesome because that's the moniker, right? Terrible twos. The
Right.
twos were great. The threes, I wanted to have my child arrested.
Yeah.
They were not pleasant travel years. So three was easily the worst, and then it got better when it was more sort of curiosity of will and not just angst.
Yeah.
But there, so I think make it make use of it now. You got a couple of year window where it's going to be joyful to fly. The only downside for us was that we had kiddos who both of them had that mysterious sinusitis that they could not talk about. So taking off and flying was great. Landing was some of the most extraordinarily painful, half hours in our family history because the
Did you
kids
do
would
the wet paper towel in the cup and create a suction?
Yep.
You tried
Yep.
that?
We've tried that. We've tried lots and lots of different things, and it just would not take. You just have to watch them suffer. And
Oh, that's
do
tough.
the performative suction stuff when it's not working. It just feels like theater, it feels
Yeah.
like I'm helpless, and that was hard. So the slightest sniffle, we became very sensitive to. Should we fly today? Is this the best thing we could do for the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
will
never
say
canceled
that-
a flight because of it, but
I-
sorry,
I will,
kids.
I will say that I keep saying like this young. We have now, about a week and a half after getting back from Italy, hit the 4-month sleep regression that I always hear about. And I do think that what we're going through right now, taking a baby would have been a lot harder.
Okay.
But it's, at that time it was great. And I will say a further advantage that I've never had, but that I'd never thought of, but that was super good for my very uncultured self. I love architecture. I love physical beauty in lots and lots of forms. I found that I just have very little appreciation for actual paintings. And it's just a thing in my brain that's never clicked. And at one point we went with my brother-in-law, Mary, Penn, and myself to Florence. We were staying mostly in a small town called Lucca, which I kind of love. I think that was also part of it. We weren't going from sightseeing to sightseeing. We were just enjoying life in a small Italian town and eating all the time, which was perfect for me.
Is that Penn calling?
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's perfect, right? But one day we did go to Florence and navigated the train and all that, which was pretty easy. and we went to someone like just, the most incredible artistic museums that you've ever heard of.
The
And I
Uffizi,
went,
right?
say again?
The Uffizi.
Yeah, I think that was it.
For David
yeah,
is.
the one with David
Yeah.
and others like that. And I saw a couple of like in the flesh, there I was looking directly at all the Ninja Turtles and their paintings, and it just did nothing for me. And normally at this point, I would bow out or want to start looking at my phone. I would look like the worst uncultured American idiot. Like, how can you be sitting here in this incredible museum looking at your phone? But if I'm taking care of a baby,
Yeah, you're off the
I
hook.
said to my wife and my brother-in-law, you guys go enjoy this. I wish I could enjoy this incredible art, which I'm sure I have just as much of an eye for as you do, but I'll just sit and take care of a baby.
Mhm.
And thus I could sit with a baby in one hand and my phone in the other, and everyone just thought, oh, look at that wonderful person. They're taking care of the baby, instead of saying that uncultured ass they don't know about this great museum they're in. So
The
my
problem
baby
is
was
what
my
you
beard.
There's a win.
what you actually are doing is reminding all past and current parents what they would rather be doing if they were not enjoying the museum. God, I wish I had a baby right now. God, I wish I had it. My kingdom for a baby
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Now, I will say, I want to let you all kind of tell your stories, but I'll just say one last thing on that. The one part of the experience when you're mentioning the great technology, and I did find it's a lot of fun to like take the wheelchair and be mechanized and pushing the stroller, until you come to a thing that is just charming and wonderful under most circumstances. Cobblestones. Because a
Oh,
stroller
yeah.
on cobblestones is
Mhm.
not
Yep.
very fun for a baby or for a parent.
And Europe is like 98% cobble.
Well, especially in the kind of like oldie timey
Yeah.
touristy areas. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You have to lift. Somebody has to hold pen and just bump the stroller empty, or
That probably would have been the responsible thing to do, but nope, we just introduced him to off-roading.
I can hear it
Exactly.
now.
I invented a word for that, but not on cobblestones. But when Casey was little, and anywhere you go where it's like, this is going to be, I would say it's going to be bumpity, and he thought bumpity was a word for. He probably still does. Like, that's how I made it fun rather than jarring and disconcerting to him.
Mm-hmm.
But
So actually, that was a call from my childcare saying that he has a slight fever, and we need to look into this. So I'm going to invite the two of you to continue this conversation. We were going to talk about childcare possibly, but maybe you all can talk about when babies get sick or anything like that. But I'm going to go and deal with what I'm sure is not a big deal, but
Okay.
is our first version of this. So
Well, just
okay,
make
I hope
sure-
Pen feels better.
thank you very
Totally.
much.
Just
Talk
don't
to you about
leave.
later.
Just turn your camera off so we can keep your recording.
Yep, exactly.
Got it.
Oh, smart. right.
SMRT, Mandy. SMRT.
Well,
Okay.
we're really just going to do a duet, right?
Yeah, right. Right,
Anything
right.
you can do.
I can do anything better than you. No, we got to talk about the real stuff. And that is, do you have any travel stories that equal Matthew's European vacation? God, we need jackets, like bedazzled jackets.
We were
Matthew's
so,
European vacation.
we were so meek about travel. We were meek about going out to dinner when he was a baby. We were like, that sounds really daunting. Let's not try.
Yeah.
And when we would travel, being from the East Coast and living on the West Coast, both of us, we would first, the only travel we did was like, let's fly home, where we knew we had grandparents and aunts and
Mhm.
uncles waiting to help. And that always felt like all we had to
Freedom.
do is get through the day. And then on the other end, we get a break. And that
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
But
That was the same for us. I mean, 100%. I mean, the first trip that we took where we didn't really have family. I mean, maybe there was a wedding in there. God, I feel old all of a sudden. But we did go when I turned 40. My wife planned a secret trip to Disneyland.
oh,
And that was when the kids, I mean, Nick would have been 4, 5. No, he must have been older than that. When was I 40? I don't even remember. Anyway, so
We've
they
reached
were.
the math portion of
We
our
reached
podcast.
we're going to give up. We're giving up right now. Um, yeah. So no, he must have been 7 or 8, and that means Sophie was like 12 or 13. And that was the first time I remember taking a trip where they were self-sufficient travelers, right? They packed their own bags and they had their own headphones, and they had iPod touches, and they had their music and their movies that were synced and ready to
Sure.
go. And that was the first time I remember that sort of visceral feeling of delight
Mhm.
that we could just fly.
Yeah,
And
and
they
enjoy
were
and
okay. Yeah. And the flight attendant would come by and say, "Would you like a drink?" And they would answer. And
yeah.
that is incredible. It is incredible.
Now, I want to go back. You said something triggering. You said
Okay.
they packed their own bags.
Oh, well, there's assistance.
I mean, I cannot explain the amount of times we've gone somewhere and Casey has said, "I forgot pants."
Oh yeah. No,
I mean,
I
an entire category has just been left out. And I will say it on this podcast for everyone to hear. It is never my fault. It is always Jer's fault, saying, "He told me he did it. He told me he had everything."
Okay, I do that too. I think there's a role. There's a gender role we're defining right now, because that's
Yeah.
what I do. We feel like we have an agreement. Me and Nick, particular. Sophie is prepared and has been prepared since the early days. Like, they were
love it.
always more prepared than me.
Mhm.
But Nick has been as prepared as me, which is to say not much. And now that he has a phone, we're at this point or when he got a phone, like he's in high school and he takes these little trips or school trips or whatever, the texts start almost just about 30 minutes after the bus leaves, right? He's like, "Well, toothbrush, first item I forgot."
Yeah.
I'll pick up a toothbrush. Oh, turns out I forgot toothpaste. You
Yep.
know what? My whole vanity kit is left in the
Yep.
bathroom. Turns out I
Yep.
forgot the whole thing. Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's very true. But the carry-on, I should have been more specific. The carry-on, the what do you want to do
Right.
on long flights? That's
Sure.
your job, kid.
Okay.
And that's pretty good. That's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah. I really remember the first little suitcase we got him, R2D2, and he could drag it along. And it was adorable and
Yeah.
incredible that
Yeah.
this little person was a flying companion rather than on my hip or,
Yeah.
just it was very cute.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
Do you have the experience of the first time you sent them traveling alone?
Well, we haven't really done that. Casey's 15.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to sleepaway camp, but
Mm-hmm.
we drive him up there, so we don't put him like on the bus to go.
Yeah.
So we haven't done that. He has a friend who flies to the East Coast for camp by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What do you think? Would you ever want to do that?" And he said no. This was maybe when he was 13 or 14, and he was
Yeah.
like, "I don't feel comfortable." But then
Okay.
recently I said, "Hey, what if on a school trip?"
Yeah.
He never got to do that. But what if they said we're flying to DC? And he said, "Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. If my friends were there."
Yeah.
But he doesn't
Some
want
sort
to.
of accountability companionship, right?
Right.
Just
But I
to-
did it
yeah.
as a kid all the time
Yeah.
because my grandparents would be in Florida and I would fly down and see them. And
Right.
what
Right.
about you?
Yeah.
When
We
did your kids?
it was, I don't know, maybe 7 or
Wow.
8, when they had something to, I mean, it's not like we would put them on a plane and send them to, Passaic to work at the cannery. They would always have the grandparents
Several words I
waiting
don't
on the
know.
other end. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always have the grandparents waiting on the other
Right.
end. And that there's a certain mechanic, right, when you're doing that, because it's, the post 9/11 thing, and nobody can go if you don't have a ticket. But when you're a parent, you can escort them back, and then you get to stand at the gate and hand them off to a flight attendant who is also really busy. And you just hope you've done enough by 7 that they're gonna be okay, and they know how
Well,
to.
they had each other, right?
No,
You
they
sent
would
them
go
both?
alone. They would go alone.
Really?
Yeah, they would go separately. And that is it is a crazy experience, right? That act of letting letting go of your parental agency and protection and watching them walk down the jetway for the first time.
Mhm.
And then, of course, it all goes away when they call you from the other end and said, I had an effing blast alone on the plane. They gave
Yeah.
me Skittles and Cokes, and nobody was there to say no.
Yeah.
So suck it, Dad, I'm sure is what he said. That's what I remember.
Sounds aggressive.
He's very aggressive. No,
Yeah.
he's training for MMA. So I had overall, we had a very good experience, and an experience of like, I don't know, it just felt like we got lucky with the right flight attendants and the right flights and the right people who acted as custodians and direct flights. And so it was all great. But there was a lot of trauma, like parental trauma of doing this thing that ostensibly is fun. And yet,
Right.
why am I feeling so crazy about it?
It's very tense. And
Yeah.
I have a friend who I don't know if I told this on the podcast, but when they took their baby on a flight the first time, they were so scared that they stood up and said, I will buy everyone around us a drink. My baby's probably going to start crying and I feel terrible and drinks are on me.
Wow.
And that made him feel better.
Yeah.
It made his wife angry. But it was, like that was his putting something in place to prepare.
Right.
But I mean, we very much let Casey be on screens when we flew,
Mhm.
but it- you know, it does sadden me because when I was a kid, we got a deck of cards
Mhm.
and we played spit on the tiny tables and we had word searches and fun things that were interactive. And really, once he was like 3 or 4, he would just headphones on, peace out, see you
Yeah.
at the other side.
Yeah.
And there's no like keeping each other entertained on the plane.
Do you know what? It is sad, and it's hard to watch that go. And it's even harder to look at myself and realize I just made that decision. And did I make it for the right reason? Right?
Mhm.
Yes,
I
you
made
did.
that decision for me first.
Mhm.
Right. And that is something to just be aware of. And I'm lucky enough that when we first started traveling, when the kiddos were very little, we didn't have screens, right? Like that's when in my day there was no screen to put on. So they had they had an iPod Touch, and it was full of their audiobooks and music. And they could use that all they wanted, but they were generally also doing crosswords and word searches and things in travel magazines for kids that we would pick up. So it
Yeah.
feels very old fashioned,
Right?
that kind of travel.
We would bring like Play-Doh and little art projects and
Yes.
those great things. Oh, Matthew, when Penn is old enough, like 2, it's a water pen. You fill it with water and then they color and everything turns bright colors so there's no spilling because it's just water.
You
Do you know
want
what
me
I'm
to
talking
fill my
about?
Oh,
baby
is
with
it-
water?
It's in because it comes with the book, right? The book
Right.
has like
The
the
book
book
has
has
the
like hidden
picture.
ink in it, and
Yes.
so when you
Yeah.
color it,
Oh, that's
it
really
colors.
cool.
It's self-coloring,
Yes, it was very cool and very not messy and easy.
and your kiddo needs no talent at all, and it's like
Correct.
refrigerator worthy immediately.
I like it. So for those who are figuring it out, yes, I am back. Turned out, so we gave him his vaccines yesterday, and he's doing what people often do after a vaccine, which is having a minor version
A
of
wee
the thing
fever.
we're being vaccinated against.
Yeah.
So he's got a small fever. Childcare is letting us know, but we don't have to go get him. We'll probably go pick him up pretty soon. But
Yeah, good.
poor little guys. But childcare is letting us know.
That's
So-
awesome.
Okay.
They're doing their job.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a grand old time talking about memory lane travel experiences, but I think now that you're back, we should probably pivot to number 2, massive event on your dance card, which is your first daycare experiences.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, we for the first time took him to daycare. We have him in. This is not a paid sponsorship, but I'll just let people know because we love it. KinderCare, which is a national chain as far as we can tell, but
Yep.
each individual branch is run by, it kind of more like a franchise, and that it's like pretty particularly run, and the woman who runs ours is fantastic. And yeah, dropping him off was both harder and easier than I thought it would be the first time. I think you kind of want to think that he's going to totally panic, but we'd left him before with family members and things like that. And the fact is, probably at this young age, he just knows he's being held. He can't really tell different adults from each other. Um, and I think it was pretty hard on Mary. It was pretty hard on me being away from him that first day. But we walked ourselves out. They do a great job of sending us pictures every 20 minutes or so. We were told he was going into the infant room and that there were children as old as like 2 weeks, compared to him. And it turned out he was very much the youngest there. All the other kids were walking around. So we were a little concerned they were going to eat him that first day. But everything turned out to be okay.
Did any of the pictures come with a ransom note from
No
the
pictures
kids?
came with a ransom note.
From the kids.
We did get one picture, like the second week, a video actually of a couple of. He was in kind of like a little playpen area that was in kind of like almost like kind of had like a little wall around it, and a couple of the other kids were like gathered around looking down at him, and so Mary was concerned they were getting ready to ritually sacrifice him.
Yes.
I thought no, they had gathered together to worship their natural leader, that he had established dominance as he should.
Yep.
And they were bringing frankincense and myrrh and all the things you're supposed to in that situation.
Yeah.
So,
And they call Penn the little prince going forward, and he just dominates the
exactly. You
class.
establish dominance early. That's what you're supposed to do.
Establish dominance early. It's perfect.
Now, how long is he at daycare? From what time to what time every day? Or is it every other day?
So right now it's Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, because she's gotten just an incredibly generous maternity leave package, decided that instead of because she has 20 weeks, so she took about 16 weeks normal, and then is taking those last 4 weeks as going back to work 3 days a week.
Great.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays he goes to daycare. Wednesdays I take care of him in the morning, and then his aunt comes over and takes care of him in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And it's nice because we just drop him off whenever we're ready, and we pick him up whenever we're ready. And so often it's Mary goes to pick him up when she can't hold back anymore, and that's just fine. They're pretty open to it, but yeah, we've just been loving it. We get great updates. And I think more than anything, I obviously I don't expect him to be interacting much right now. He's a baby. He can barely understand what's going on around him, but just seeing him with other kids, seeing him with other parents, seeing him with other teachers, it just makes me happy.
Of course.
What about for you guys? When did you start daycare or childcare or anything like that?
We had the luxury of both Kira and I and another couple. We had our first kiddos within about 6 weeks of each other. And all of us had flexibility in our schedules. And so we just built a schedule for 4. And both of the girls were with 2 of us at any given time. Right. And so we didn't start daycare until after 2, right? Maybe 3. And we found an in-home daycare of a wonderfully trained background as an educator, but now she was a grandmother and she opened an in-home daycare and took only 3 or 4 kids. And that was Peggy. And I mean, Peggy was our surrogate grandma that we didn't have living near us. And she took both the kids, and they have incredibly fond memories, and right up until preschool. So we were very lucky. The memories I have are of having Sophie sleeping in the Baby Bjorn and standing next to me, my buddy Ted, and his daughter Emma in their Baby Bjorn, and we were playing Xbox games, just swaying gently back and forth, playing God of War. And it is just a formative memory for me. So, yeah.
Well, you just reminded me, I had a neighbor very close. Their baby was born right around the same time. And her sister was their nanny. And we worked it out so the sister would take care of both babies, because why not? And we paid her more, and she liked it, and we liked it, and it was great. I felt very, very lucky to have that situation. And then and we really loved this person. She was like family. And then our friends moved away. So she stayed our babysitter for a while. Then she moved away. Then I got contacted by her after she had been through her 12-step program. and she was making amends and admitting to me that she stole drugs from our cabinet and was high
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of the time that she was with Casey.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Oh my
And
God.
she was sorry. She was making amends, but it was like, what now? Like, I just thought this was the luckiest, most blessed situation. And
I don't know how to rationalize that story.
This is a very different tangent, but I have been both in 12-step programs for myself as well as been around people who have been in them.
okay.
I have to say, sometimes with this step of amends, we're supposed to ask ourselves, will saying this to the other person actually help them?
Mm.
Or will it actually trouble them more while freeing our conscience?
Right.
And so I have to ask you, Mandy, do you feel like your life was enriched by knowing that this was happening during your childhood? Like maybe you were wondering why the drugs kept disappearing, and it was good to
I
finally
didn't
know
even
this.
notice because it was like expired something from a surgery recovery. Like I didn't
Uh-huh.
notice.
Yeah.
But we were still in touch with the friends. So
Right.
I knew she was an addict and going
Yeah.
for recovery. And I think she thought, they know this anyway. I need
Yeah.
to
Okay.
apologize for it.
That makes some sense.
So
That
it
makes some
wasn't
sense.
like out of
Okay.
the blue, but it's a good point that no, I didn't feel better. I guess I could tell myself, well, she was never high when she was with Casey.
Right.
But
Yeah. You can tell yourself that all day long. And
Right?
Casey's fine right now. So also we could move on.
Yes. No, he's fantastic. But we did daycare, and I think I've said this on the podcast. I don't remember how old he was, but he could walk. Like I think he was 16 months or something when we found a daycare.
Right.
And they did a great step up program where they were like, you bring him for a half hour, then you bring him for an hour and you stay, then you leave only for a few minutes. So we really built this up. And Jer did the drop off on that day, and he spent the whole time in the parking lot crying. He couldn't leave
Oh.
in case Casey needed
Yeah.
him. And I thought that was very sweet. And then once Casey got used to it, it was just this godsend of a place. They were
Yeah.
just really wonderful, very bare bones, sweet. This was before the time of we'll send you pictures of your kid. So we only had at pickup, you would hear, well, they had a rough nap time, or well, they didn't, well, we didn't even have him nap there at the time. It was just like 3 hours so I could work, and then I would bring him home to nap him. But God love daycare.
We before we started daycare, we had a young woman who was, I mean, I think she was 22, 21, 22, and she was a referral from another babysitter that we had who was delightful, and we trusted her. She was amazing. And so this other woman came over. We just had her for a couple of days, and then one day we left her. She would drive the kid in the car seat, drive to like their music class and things like that. One day we left for work. I left for work and forgot something, and I came back to the house, and it was summer, and it was already sunny and getting hot, and I pulled up into the driveway, and I saw the car with our car seat in it and our baby in the car with the windows up. And I walked inside and I said, "What is going on?" And she said, "Well, I mean, the baby was asleep, and so I thought I would just let them sleep while I watched soap operas." And that was a as you can imagine, a deal breaker for us. And I stayed home that day and sent them packing. That is one of those things that you don't know
Right.
about people that you're bringing in to stay with your kids. And we just got lucky because I had only missed by about 10 minutes by the time they got there. And
I cannot
it's
believe
horrifying.
any functioning adult would think that's okay.
But
Oh
the
my
soaps
God.
were on, I guess. I don't know. It was bad.
And this is one of those
I'm
times
sorry.
when it's funny because normally I'm such a big proponent of buy local, shop local, support local businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
And I admit this is a part why I'm glad this is a large national chain that has, because, all their people are certified and go through intense training where they probably are told, don't leave babies in cars. And,
Yeah.
all these, I mean, not that they're ever going to get in the car, but you know what I mean? Like they have all the people there have CPR training. All the people there have they actually are all trained in this is obviously not something we're going to think about for a couple more years, or maybe even earlier, but like in recognizing like hearing issues or speaking issues, or early onset of autism or things like that. Like and I admit there are a lot of ways in which I think I'm going to envy you all bringing up kids who don't have the access to technology that my kids are going to, and that's something we'll talk about. But I do love, like you said, Mandy,
Yes.
we getting those emails. 5 times a day we get a picture or a video. Another 5 times we get told, okay, he started a bottle now. He's taking a nap now. We laugh because they always say, all right, he started a nap. And then 20 minutes later, he's doing something else because he doesn't stay asleep there.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny that this is one time where just I want, it's like I bought a used car from a friend of a friend once, and it turned out to be a lemon. And now I'm always going to buy something that's Toyota certified. I just want that. And I think in the same case here, family members were willing to do, but and I think at some point it'll probably be good to have like the neighbor's kid over to babysit. But
there's a time when that's appropriate. And,
right.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. And they
right
build
now
great
having all that
relationships.
certification and all the things.
And look, when I travel now, I hire this company to take care of my cats, and they send pictures, and I love it. I get a clean litter box picture every day, and I get pictures of this is where I found Lamb Chop, and Scout was over here, and I love it. Love the proof of life.
Yeah.
So I support that kind of technology. I wish they had it. Random, I think, funny story, and hopefully a warning. So when Casey was 4, maybe 3.5, 4, he didn't like it when we would go out. He got a little like, no, why do you have to go? No.
Yeah.
So we are a sarcastic, jokey family, and we had a new babysitter. Her name was Ashley. If I knew her last name, I would out her right here and now. And so we had interviewed her. Everything was great. He had met her. Now she's here to babysit. We went over all the details. This is bedtime. This is how this all works. Great. But he was starting to get a little antsy.
Right.
So I started joking. And remember, no fun, you two. I don't want to hear about any games or fun.
No. Oh no.
This should be a serious night. And he would
no.
laugh, and then we would leave. And we came back, and he was asleep. And she said, well, he wanted to play Batman. But I told him we couldn't because you had said no fun.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm so sad.
This dumbass, she's like, so we read and I forget what else. I gave him dinner or whatever. And then he went to bed because she was
Wow.
she took me literally.
That's like something out of like if they made Parenthood today,
is.
like that would be
Yeah.
something in a Mad movie. That's
Dumbass.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, there is I wouldn't trade my experience with, and I'll go back to Peggy, who was delightful, right? She was all certified CPR, and she was an educator. So we knew that the games she was going to play were going to be the right games. This was a time before the pictures would come, but at the end of the day, when we would show up, we would have the receipts. Like we would have art projects, we would have all of the creative, stimulating stuff that they would do. And I think I got trained to trust from Peggy because I had to walk down those steps every day without a child in my arms, right? I had to walk up with baggage and leave with no baggage. And there is something to that, right? To learning that your kid will thrive in the world without you. And I valued that personally, and so I wouldn't snooze on it. I like the idea of having the pictures. I prefer them for the pets. And because my pets will never thrive in the world without me. They're the worst.
No, Joey does no artwork.
Yeah.
I
No
tried to get
macaroni
Lamb Chop
art.
to make a turkey with his paw. He won't do it. They're useless.
I mean, today we were joking because we had the downside of the pictures, which is we were sent a picture of a little video actually of Penn being utterly adorable, and both we have our two offices, but like it's just a hallway that connects them, and so we can talk to each other pretty easily. And both of us were like, wouldn't we be rather cuddling him than like doing our work? And why don't we just go and cuddle him? And
Yeah.
I had to remind myself that if I don't edit podcasts, Andy yells at me, and so I have, we have to like keep going. I have to go to the sound editing mines every day.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right, Pete, and I think that there's a real step of the letting go. And the first 2 weeks, every time my phone buzzed, I just needed to check it. And now, maybe every 2 hours or so, I'll check.
Yeah.
And this time they called, and so I was like, okay, well, I gotta.
So that's important, right? That's a signal that they've gone to DEFCON. I don't know, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
I don't know what the numbers mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's special time.
Well,
It's a
we've
really
been about an
special
hour, and I do have a baby with a fever that we're probably going to go pick up in a second. But any other last things we want to say in either travel or daycare?
I do want to say one thing about travel.
Go for it.
Casey has always been easy to travel with, but we did Europe last spring break or 2 spring breaks ago, and I did feel a little bad for him because he's an only child, and it felt like I'm with my mom and dad again, like I'm doing everything with my mom and dad. So we booked a cruise for Christmas, and we are bringing his best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
And
smart.
That's like a new
treat.
era. They can run off and do whatever. If he were alone, I don't think he would say, I'm just going to go swimming in the pool all by myself,
Right.
Right.
So
Or I'll see you at the casino.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just I think it's a graduation to a new era, and I'm excited about it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think moving into daycare made sense. But when I originally thought of this episode, I was thinking I want to hear about traveling with 8-year-olds and traveling with 14-year-olds and traveling with 22-year-olds. Like, what all that's like.
I can talk about that. It's amazing. It's amazing. You guys, I cannot endorse this enough. Travel with your adult children. They are kind and helpful. They carry stuff before you ask them to do it. They are awesome. They even pay for stuff. You know what? They have jobs, and they'll
Can
go
we travel with your children?
Right? Do you want my children? They're incredible.
Yes.
I love travel. It is I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm sorry it's at the very end, because I have such incredible memories of traveling with my own kids. They are extraordinary as adults. They're just friends. We're friends on a trip together. Changes the dynamic incredibly, and I love it. I love it.
I need to get my parents to stop listening to this podcast, because I think I'm now a delight to travel with, and have been since I got to maybe 35 or so. But I think at 22, I was probably not very fun. So your kids are clearly much better than I was.
Fair. That's fair.
But yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about. Well, thank you both, as always, to our listeners. Tell us your stories. We'd love to hear it. All the ways to contact us is in the show notes or on our website. Of course, please check out all the other great podcasts that we do. Mandy is making herself a nerd and making other people a nerd along the way. Lots of great content there. Pete is joining me on the Marvel Movie Minute, where Pete is being very tolerant, as I have decided that the writer and director of Thor: The Dark World have personally insulted me, and I continue going on these long rants. I have no idea why Pete allows it. Perhaps he is just very overly permissive, but it's a lot of fun. Pete's also on the film board and all sorts of other great things. All that's by going to truestory.fm. Find all the things we do. I, of course, am the host of Superhero Ethics and the Star Wars Universe podcast. Forgive me now, the Star Wars Generations podcast. I'm an old doddering old person, so I forget these things. But yeah, check out all those great things. Check out all the things we're doing. Tell us what you're doing. May the Force be with you.
Awesome.